Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Tracardi office hours. On the call, we've got a couple of people, which is absolutely awesome. Introduce Risto shortly. But what are we doing today? We're going to talk a little bit about the blog, I reckon. We're going to talk about our group on LinkedIn, and we're just going to wrap up on some questions that have been asked on the Slack group. And I know that there's a whole heap of new features which Risto would be dying to share with us. So I'll hand over to Risto to get started, introduce himself for those who don't know who he is, and to share those updates, and then we'll dive into those other topics that we've got there. Risto, it's all yours.
Yes, hi, I'm Risto. I'm a founder of open source Tracardi SDP. And today I would like to present you with new features that are coming with the new version. We have already a beta version. And I will just run through it quickly, and then we can just go to the blog and what's going on. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, perfect. So currently you have version 1.1.0. It's actually it's a beta version. So probably within a few weeks we'll release the first stable version of this of 1.1. And with this version we have new features, and I've divided it into 2 slides. So so we can go, because they are like grouped. Okay. The biggest change in this version is that the whole internal process was refactored. We are preparing Tracardi for very big traffic that it has to collect. So now we are able to spread the server load for the collector that collects all the events on different nodes, on different servers. So basically, we can split the whole load on different servers. The previous version was able to split the saving of the data on one node, and all the collection was done by API on a different node. Now we can split it on even more nodes. Actually, we can have like a collector that collects data on one node, and I've been testing this, and one endpoint was able to collect about 300 events per second. Then we can put the processing on a different node, because processing requires more CPU, so we can have like a stronger node that processes this, and then we can have like another node that does the workflow, and there's also another node that could do the saving of the data. So we can just make the whole load separated in different nodes, so we can build bigger clusters. But actually what it does, it gives us a performance boost, and this performance boost is from 50% to 600%. So it's really, really significant. And the other thing that was done in this version, we've merged the automatic profile merging with the identification flow, because they were like separate processes. Now everything is within APM automatic profile merging, so merging should be also faster. So this is the refactoring of the internals of Tracardi. And another thing is that we started standardizing the forms in graphical user interface, so they all look the same. Also, we have like information on the referral web pages. The referral web page is a page that the user came from. So we have this information in the interface. So it's very easy right now to see from where the user is coming. Also, there was something called redirect event sources that was available in commercial version, and we've moved it to open source version. It's a source that allows us to create a link, and then under this link we have a page. And if somebody clicks this link, an event is registered in Tracardi. So this is very useful when you send some emails, and inside the email there's a link. If somebody clicks that link, you will have the information about this in Tracardi. We also removed an inject event plugin that is that was an old plugin that is no longer used. And we also introduced something like monitoring of profile properties that change. This is very interesting approach because actually it's in the commercial version. You can configure the system this way that when some property in the profile changes, you will have additional event in the system. So, for example, somebody changed an email, you will have additional system event in Tracardi, so you can connect some workflow to it and just process it. Also, a new Tracardi destination was introduced. So right now we can chain Tracardi instances. If we have like 2 instances of Tracardi, actually we have like I have a Tracardi instance that collects data from Tracardi.com, and Matt is running blog Tracardi.com, and there are 2 different instances of Tracardi. And when customer travels from Tracardi.com to Tracardi blog, I actually lose the information about this journey because the journey is collected on the different instances of Tracardi. But right now we can chain those Tracardi, so the Tracardi that collects data from the blog could send back the information to Tracardi.com. This is it. This is the main feature that are coming to Tracardi. I'm also working on some other things that are related to enhancing the profile with artificial intelligence, but this will be like in version 1.3.
Looking forward to 1.3 as well. Should we be using 1.1.0 instead of 1.04 in production now?
I would just give it a try, and probably within a week or 2, I will release a stable tested version. Actually, I'm still testing it. I'm testing it on my home lab and actually on Tracardi.com right now. And yes, I will announce it when it's ready to be used in production.
Okay, so it's not on Docker Hub or anything like that quite just yet.
Actually, there is a version beta version. It's 1.1.x. Usually, this is how we mark the beta version, that we actually do not put the last number in the version.
I noticed a number of the features had asterisks next to them. Is that to signify that they're the commercial version?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that might have been the case. Do we have a document sort of talking about what's in, like the open source version of Tracardi is very powerful, and then you sort of go, you hype it up, you get so much more features out of the commercial version. Is there a document somewhere that shows the comparison of what's in?
There's like a general comparison saying what are the differences. There are a lot of information in the Q&As actually saying how to do something, but I still need to prepare like a full comparison what's in the commercial version and what's in the open source version.
That'd be nice to have. Interesting about chaining Tracardi instances, because we have the blog, which is on an open source instance of Tracardi, and we obviously you've got the commercial version there. I'd love to hook them up and see how that works.
Yeah, actually, it's a new destination. This is how it works. So if you have one instance of Tracardi, it collects data, and then I move the traffic to blog, and the blog has collected different instances of Tracardi. First thing that we can do, I can pass the same profile ID, so the new instance will pick it up. Okay, the journey continues to another page, and then you can set a destination saying, okay, whenever there is an event, any event or like a page view event, please send it back to Tracardi as well.
When do you think 1.2 will be available?
Probably within 3 to 4 months. This is the usual cycle for our version.
Marius, correct me if I just pronounced your name incorrectly.
Perfect.
Thank you for joining. Oh, thank you.
Hey, sorry for being a bit late. I was stuck in a meeting.
Sure.
That's all good. Well, we've got the Tracardi office hours. Has just given us a rundown of everything in 110, and everything's recorded. What I'm going to do next is just share a couple of the things that we're doing at the moment. And I just take a couple of moments. So I'm just going to go into the blog. So this is a story about a plugin or a couple of plugins that have been put together. I had a requirement, and this is me talking here. Hey, everyone on the Slack, I asked this question. And then I got into this process of creating a couple of plugins. And whilst working through this plugin strategy, I ended up with two plugins, which were quite different to the ones that I originally planned on writing. One's called a sitemap plugin, which pulls down a sitemap from a blog or a CMS, provided it's got a sitemap, and that'll prepare that sitemap or the URLs on that your sitemap ready so they can be written into Tracardi. The other plugin that's just been put together recently is called Data Write. It's sort of the opposite to Data Query. It just writes data back to the Elasticsearch. So those two plugins have just been put together recently. I had a lot of fun putting them together. It's not hard to do these things, and there's lots of support there on the Slack group, especially from Risto, and also from things like ChatGPT. It's able to help you get pretty close to where you need to be, I found. But yeah, sitemap and Data Write. Now, what's really interesting about Data Write is we're doing a survey at the moment. So let me show you the survey. It's a pretty simple sort of survey. We just launched it a couple of days ago.
And it's very interesting because this plugin, when plugged into the workflow, because how Tracardi works with every event, you can have a workflow, then you can just save your own custom data.
Yeah.
Okay, not only the events that you have in Tracardi, you can create your own custom data.
Yeah. So when somebody completes the survey, that sends an event back to Tracardi, and we're using the plugin right to store that data back into Elasticsearch, which I thought it was quite interesting because it wasn't the use case, but immediately as soon as we had that right plugin, I was able just to do the quick capture the information from the page and write it back. Just share also our LinkedIn group page. So just scroll down. We've got this up and running. We've been talking about this for a while, but we've got this up and running now. So it's a Tracardi open source CDP community LinkedIn group. It's about 5 days old, and I think we've got 12 people in there so far. And just questions for the group type of stuff or whatever we're sharing on the blog. Just trying to keep that in front of people and just providing another channel for where we've got stuff to look at. So for instance, conversation there today about cron jobs and how we trigger things, because Tracardi doesn't have a process where we can trigger scheduler. So you invariably got to use an external scheduler. So we're looking at that. And I was just talking about how I use active pieces for that. Christo was talking about Kubernetes and that approach, but there's a lot of options for that one. So I'll just stop sharing my screen. I just want to share those things because they're brand new. And I know there's been a little bit of a discussion on the Slack. Really support questions, I think, more than anything else. That'd be it, Risto. I think there was one there about segments.
Yeah. Actually, we have a lot of questions, how to do things in Tracardi. I think if we have to guess, maybe you've got questions. That could be any questions, like general questions for Tracardi works.
Yeah. Do you reckon there's a big steep learning curve on Tracardi, Risto, or do you reckon it's a bit? How long do you reckon the learning curve is? You've helped a lot of people across the line before they're sort of up and running.
Yeah, actually, people install Tracardi within 1 day, and if you install the commercial version with Tracardi, it installs like instantly. I don't know, takes 15 minutes, maybe less.
I guess the question was more about how. I know when we know how to do it, it's quick and easy. But
Mhm.
just generally in the Slack, how people you see the questions and
I think most of the
how do you
people
drop?
just, yeah, they just go through our YouTube and they find
Yep.
that, look for getting started with Tracardi, and there is a video that shows you how to create an event source and put a JavaScript on it. So this is collection. Actually, you start collecting data, and then there's a matter of what kind of data we would like to collect. Okay, so you put additional little Java snippets saying, okay, when this page renders, I would like to collect this kind of event. Or if somebody clicks on this button, I would like to collect this kind of event with this data. Okay, so it's fairly simple and very easy to start. So collection is very easy. Then people usually are, very they would like to start with workflows, okay? And they just, jump into workflows, and there's like a lot of questions: how I do this, how I do that. But my opinion is that the workflow is the last thing you do. Okay, you first have to think what data you would like to collect. Where are your merging points? So, what event triggers a merging of events, the merging of profiles and their events? So we say, okay, I have like a sign in procedure, and that procedure should collect an event identification, and this event can be used to merge profiles. So you have to decide when and how you would like to merge the profiles. And when you've done this, and this is quite straightforward and very simple to do, and then people start doing automation, and then the fun begins, because with the automation you can do whatever you want. You can enhance profiles, saying, okay, actually I've been working on such thing, trying to find out how ChatGPT could help me with the classifying of page views. And with the ChatGPT plugin, it's very easy. It works very well. And the last thing you do, you just create destination share where you would like your data to go. You would go to the marketing automation systems or the other systems you're interested in.
Okay, so are there any other questions or any other comments that we want to cover off before we close?
I was just curious, because you've been working on this procedure, also the procedure of creating new interest in non-profit. How is it going?
Then I've got a number of instances. I've actually been down with COVID for the last 2 weeks. I'm still positive at the moment, so I'm not working as hard as I should. So having to rest a little bit more at the moment, so I'm not going as quick as I could. But I've got one instance end to end where, based on the sitemap, it's collecting the URLs. There's a function which is built using components inside Tracardi to get the content from the website. That's stored back into Elasticsearch with the sitemap data. When that's passed off with a series of prompts, just using the request plugin. And I'm actually using a local AI here, although a locally hosted Llama, which is just exposed to the internet at the moment, but most likely be using Cloudflare for their APIs. It's got it more robustly into production. But the prompts are asking, what type of page is this? What stage of the journey is this page most likely aligned with? So is it awareness, consideration, or a decision type of page, or something that's asking for more of a loyalty type scenario? It might be asking for shares, social media shares. And the other part of that is what interests are on this page, so that they can be aligned with segments. So where all this is going, it's all about interests and intents, and about collecting that information and helping the person visiting with their next steps. So providing a hyper-personalized conversation. So,
and what is the quality of results from Llama? Because I was not using this. Just curious.
Yeah, no, so the model is let's see, Meta. What's the model used in Meta uses? It's a Llama, isn't it? Llama 3.1. It's reasonably good. I can't really fault it too much. You've got to, with the query, you've got to construct it right, and there's no shortcut around spending time working out what your query really needs to be. You don't want stuff that's not going to make sense. You've sort of got to put guardrails around it a little bit. So, for example, with the stages of the customer journey, provide me a JSON object in this format with these options based on this content and the content supplied in, and don't provide any other prefix or postfix type discussion, JSON only. And it's got to lock down exactly what it wants to do, because it can get a little bit verbose and provide you all sorts of other helpful stuff, which sort of breaks your update into Elasticsearch.
That was my next question. Does the result is always like in a structured format in a JSON, or do you encounter some errors?
Always structured, because ultimately it's a decision matrix that you've got to be able to map and talk things to. So you're going to be able to ask a question. The AI is not in real time as such. It's more about identifying where the person is in the journey, and then using what we know about them, their interests based on what they've visited. So the URL associated with a series of interests. They click on that URL, that could be looked up. The interests are returned back on the event when they've looked at the page, and that could be mapped to a profile. That was a plugin that I put together earlier on just for that purpose, was interest segmentation, just so we could make up. Yep. Sorry.
So most of the time you get the right answer from your AI, because I had these issues that when different content into the prompt, it sometimes does not return the structured answer. Actually, this is solved in ChatGPT. ChatGPT has this interface that you will always have the structured content. But other open source models, I did not see anything like
that. Then it's really about the prompt that I'm finding with Llama. It's working fine with that prompt.
Okay.
But yeah, it wants to return more, so you've got to tell it not to. So I think that's the big one there. You've got to experiment with that prompt. It'll never be right straight away. I know with some other generative AI work that I'm doing for content, where it's a bit freer and you really just want to explore options, it's good to have a range of options coming back from GenAI, because you can curate those. But that's like a man in the middle, a person in the middle. What we're doing with Tracardi just can't handle that. I guess the next step after that is to then look at the cohorts, the data, and then say, okay, then we've got these objectives. These are the pathways that have been completed. Map the profile coming through to pathways that have been completed. So that's the next step, but not quite at that stage yet, but that's where I'd like to get to. That's it's really just about interests and intents and helping enhance their customer journey.
Okay. I've been also evaluating the AI for discovering if the person that is visiting the page, if this person is male or female, and can come up with classification and then probability map. So saying, okay, if this content is of this class, how is it probable that this person is male or female? So, and it sometimes works, because some categories are more targeted into men and some are more targeted to women. So yeah, it works. It's a bit tricky how to store it in Tracardi. Actually, you can store the probabilities, but if you want to store it in profile, then we have to decide what is the threshold, what's the probability that is high enough to say that this is a man problem.
It's an interesting conversation. It's about, I guess, if somebody's gone to a preference center and they've selected all these things and they've opted in, and the person's given you this information, you can trust it to be 100% right. But when it's inferred by an engine, it could be just, is the name, what gender is the name? But then you can look at a name like Cameron, and it could be male or female. So
Yes.
And then we've got the gender where we've got with genders at the moment, we've got more than just the binary scenarios. Yeah. I think it's an interesting conversation, but yeah, I don't think we could overwrite the known profile. You know, what do you call it? Is there a field at the moment for gender?
Yeah.
In Tracardi? Yeah.
Yes.
I wouldn't overwrite that with something that was inferred.
Yeah, but this is more for like building segments. You can then say, okay, I mean, we've got 100% sure data, and we have like probabilistic data. You can also use this to extend your segment, saying, okay, if we don't have enough data right now, so maybe you can use this probabilistic data to build a wider segment.
I can remember when I wrote this is 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, maybe longer. I first wrote using TeslaFlow JS, and it was just a very simple classification. There's a null classification, and what got me about that was that there's no business rules in there. You're just providing examples, and that was a very simple example. It was sort of my introduction to it all, but just providing the examples. This is true and this is false, and just provide enough of those, and then you can run the scenarios, and it'll come back with the results. But I think what was interesting for me was that even though it was really just a binary classification, the engine still came back with a probability of 0.9 or 0.8. Like it's a different process to what we do with a simple business rule. And it's come a long way since then, but you've got to think of it differently, very differently. Yeah, digressing, I guess, a little bit. It's been a fascinating office hours.
Yeah, and we will have a new version soon.
And we will by the time our next office comes out. Office hours comes out. We do this every 2 weeks. Twice a month on the first Thursday and the third Thursday. So it's almost fortnightly or every 2 weeks, except for those months that have got more than 4 Thursdays in them, which happens to us a year. You can find us. Where can everyone find us? If they just go to tracardi.com, there'll be a link there that you can find everything on. Find the blog, find the office hours, and get into the Slack group, which is the very best place to get help.
Good. Okay.
Good to see you, though. All right, bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. See you next time.